Well, hello everyone. This is episode 1 of Tiny Boy Trying to Grow, TBT2G. I'm here with someone many of you guys know. It's Tyler. Hello, Tyler. How are you?
Hello, Chris.
We don't have to act like this is some sort of jazz show with that intro.
But it's pretty awesome, though.
I guess it is.
Joining you in studio.
What I want to do first is I want to.
First up, we're gonna play a jazz hit.
We're not going to play any hits of any sort.
T-Bone Johnson.
That sounds just like a jazz name, dude.
Right.
Anyway,
Plays jazz piano and a trumpet.
I want to explain how. I explained on the stream a couple times how Tiny Boy Trying to Grow, that
Goodness,
title.
I have no idea what I'm even doing here.
That title became about.
Oh, yes.
And this is related to you.
Yep.
So why don't you tell the story? Because I've told it on stream. Why don't we hear your side of the story?
I don't remember. I remember we were at work and you drew. Oh, yeah, that's right. You asked me the question, what's 5 words or something?
Describe yourself in 5 words.
Describe yourself in 5 words. And you said tiny boy trying to grow. And I thought it was the greatest phrase ever uttered in the history of mankind. I mean, it's perfect. I think that everybody, it's not just a good name, it's a perfect philosophy. I think it's a good way to describe, if you're honest with yourself, I think it's a good way to describe anyone.
Okay. Anyone?
Yeah.
Would you describe yourself as a tiny boy trying to grow?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yep.
I would change it to large boy trying to grow.
Nope. Because you know what? Sometimes you feel a little tiny when you're thinking about how big the world is, when you're thinking about, how big, potentially religion is, like all kinds of different things. It can be a little overwhelming and you feel maybe a little bit tiny sometimes. So yeah, I like it. I think if a tiny boy trying to grow, I think it's a great image. I think it's great.
I think it's a great acronym. TBT2G. I like the acronym. So what I'm going to do is, as I explained, the podcast is going to have a different guest on it every week. It's going to be me and somebody else every week. But so the questions are either going to come from you guys, which most of them tonight are, except for I think I have 2 that I wrote myself.
And those are the best ones.
And those are the best ones, yes. But so the questions are going to come from you guys, but I have 4 questions I'll ask every guest, just so you guys have kind of an idea. Since Tyler's the only one that you'll be familiar with, obviously the rest of them haven't been on the stream and whatnot at a later time. But so first of all, Tyler, who are you?
My name is
That's question
Tyler.
number 1. Okay.
I'm just a tiny boy trying to grow.
For those, I think everyone here knows what Tyler looks like, but he's a very large human. So that's where that joke comes from. What do you do for work, Tyler?
What is the legal way I can say it? I work for a company that builds advertising accounts on the internet.
There you go. Okay. How did we meet?
We met at work.
So I also used to work for this company.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have we known each other for?
2 years? 3 years? 2 years.
Technically, almost 2 years. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you started a month after me in I started March 2nd, 2015. You started late March 2015.
Yeah.
And we weren't friends right away. We didn't really become friends until October, November.
Yep. Mid-March is when I started.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then we weren't
So
friends
we've been friends
until-
for like a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought that you were an old man.
Yes. I don't think we have to
Initially.
go into that story. We've said it many times in the stream.
I thought he was
Campbell Scott.
Campbell Scott.
Because my picture at work was Campbell Scott. But anyway, so let's just jump right in. Okay. So this is we were kind of talking about this at dinner, somewhat related to this topic, not this question specifically,
Mm-hmm.
but a question I would like to talk about. Are there any objective values that everyone holds? And if so, how do we get those? Where is the middle ground between, let's say, Christianity and secular beliefs? And why can some people not reach one? So where do you, as a non-Christian, get your morality or moral values from?
Well, I don't know. I think that's a great question. I think you get your morals from just interacting with human beings, I think, partly. I mean, when you're a little kid and somebody takes your toy, that teaches you pretty quickly that, hey, I didn't like when that person took my toy. So maybe I should not take other people's toys because then they'll feel bad too. So I don't know. I think if people teach you empathy, then that sort of takes care of morality. If you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, then it stands to reason that you wouldn't want to murder them or steal from them or take their land or, something along those lines. But as far as objective morality, I mean, I don't know. I think that you would have a lot of arguments with my 2 philosophy classes that I took in college that would say that there is no such thing as an objective morality.
Okay.
That
So is there objective good and bad though?
No. I mean, you can't live your life that way, I don't think. Like, you have to individually decide what is good and bad, but at the same time, no, I don't think, like, realistically, no, because
Okay.
sort of like what we talked about earlier is that, and I'm not defending this by any means, but if you grow up thinking a certain thing, you might think that that's an okay thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but even though a majority of people would think it's not, there's still going to be a group of people who think it is. And then now to say that it's now, obviously have very strong religious views, so it sort of flavors how you would argue that point.
Flavors.
But if you say that person's correct and what they believe is correct because they believe just as hard as what you believe, then who's to say that they're wrong? Like, obviously they're wrong.
You lost me a little bit in the middle of that. What I want to do though is so I've clarifying questions I want to ask. So you use the example of someone stealing a kid's toy, and the kid who got his toy stolen felt bad and said, "Well, hey, I shouldn't do that to other kids." What about the other kid who said, "Hey, now I have a toy"?
Right.
If he grows up thinking, "Hey, I can just have this,"
right,
he could grow up to be terrible.
Right. Well, terrible in your opinion. Now, if that person...
So
Go ahead.
Is stealing objectively wrong?
I would argue, yes, it's objectively wrong. You shouldn't take what isn't yours.
So is that kid growing up with objectively bad values, is thinking stealing is okay?
You can't say it's objective. It's subjective.
Okay, but subjectively you think stealing is objectively wrong.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's I mean, but that's the truth. Is that in my opinion, it's a no-brainer that it's a fact that stealing's bad. But at the same time, if that person grows up to be a very successful CEO and he's doing it because he's doing something that's uncouth, and we've seen this.
Oh, now we're calling CEOs thieves, huh?
No,
I'm just
that's
kidding.
not what we're doing.
Go on, finish your point.
The Wells Fargo, for example, the big news with Wells Fargo that came out, that they were literally stealing money from people. Now, we can sit here and say that's bad, but if that guy gets away with it and he makes all that money, is that bad? No, not to him.
Okay. So I just think it's kind of I mean, even if you're not religious, can you kind of draw your morality from the legal system?
Again, no.
No. So I don't know. I just think it's a
Because
dangerous game if you say that there's no. And I'm not saying you have to, agree with everything. I'm just saying, like, even look at the legal stuff in the United States. Like, even if you're not going to draw from a Christian perspective, at least draw from a legal perspective. I think if you are saying that being raised with no objective right and wrong at all, that's a dangerous game for a lot of the population if that were the case.
But nobody's going to be raised without an objective right. There's no
Sure.
such. You're going to be raised with a subjective right or wrong. Some people are going to be raised to believe that smoking marijuana is bad.
Okay, but then now you're getting into more of like the kind of outskirts of that. I mean, more
that's
like
legal.
Sure, and I mean like that's more not really necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like things like that. I mean more of like treating people well and like not stealing and not killing people, like stuff like that. You can pretty basically just look at the legal thing if you don't have any sort of religious background. And I'm not saying religion is the only essence of morality, because I think you can be a morally good person, obviously, if you don't believe in any religion. But I just think I don't know, man. If you leave it all too much subjectivity, I think, is a dangerous thing.
I agree. That's why we have laws. Like, you can't just say, okay, just do whatever you believe in, because then the world would be chaos. But if you're asking me, can you live your life that way without objective truths, without objective morality?
Sure. Yeah.
The answer is no.
Okay.
We can't go around killing each other. We can't go around stealing each other's things. But is there a such thing as objective morality? The answer is no. Because it's always going to be subjective.
Okay. I think you kind of answered part 2 of that as well. So I'm going to move on. But, so this one's a little bit lighter of a topic. The first question that was sent in, it's 2 questions. It says, why fudging? And what is your history of music? So the why fudging, like, why do I say fudging instead of the F word as much as I can?
Because he doesn't swear.
Well, I do swear. Everyone,
just not as often.
I just try not to, is all I say. I'll never say I never swear. I don't swear. I just say I try not to because, I mean, it does slip up. But, I mean, you don't swear that much.
No.
Why not? Why don't you swear as much as other, like, why do, I guess, no, that's a bad question.
No, what?
I was going to word it poorly. But, like, what's your opinion on swearing, I guess, as a whole? Like, why don't you swear that much?
There's a time and a place.
Okay.
That's it. That's the bottom
So there's
line.
a time and a place to swear.
Yeah.
What's one of those time and places? When you win a MMA fight in 15 seconds and you
Yes.
say, give me the fudging belt?
Yes, exactly. But generally speaking, if you're going to argue with somebody, you can use it as a point of emphasis. I think that so if we're
A
just
point of
talking-
emphasis.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Anyway, there's studies.
I think
shown,
it can draw emphasis to what you're saying.
Yeah.
A point of emphasis would be like, that's my argument.
It can draw
this
emphasis
word
to what you're saying.
Yes. Okay.
And there's evidence to suggest that light cursing in a speech makes it seem like more serious or more. There's something along those lines. I'm saying it wrong, but I just don't think that. I mean, we all know those people who swear every other word.
Yeah.
And how awesome is it to have a conversation with that person? Usually not very. So
It depends. I'm not writing off the person for swearing. I know people that swear every other word, and I don't think they're terrible people. It's just part of the way they talk. I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's questionable.
You have a higher opinion of them than I do then.
Really?
I don't write them off because I know a lot of these people and they're my friends. But when somebody says the F
Go ahead
word,
and say it. Say everyone who swears a lot is a comeback, Tom.
That's not fun. But like, I wouldn't swear in front of kids. I wouldn't swear in front of. I mean, you can swear in front of adults. It doesn't bother me if somebody says that. Like if somebody swore at work in a meeting when you would think, okay, you probably shouldn't swear in a meeting at work. That doesn't bother me. But if somebody swore in front of kids, that would bother me.
One of the dudes I know that swears a lot has, I think, 3 kids, and he'll swear in front of them.
Yeah. And again, it's...
So that lowers your opinion of him?
No. It's case by case. You know what I mean? I wouldn't swear in front of kids.
I wouldn't either. And that's part of the reason I tried to cut out swearing as much as I could. Is I used to have a really bad mouth. I used to swear before I knew you. I was still in college. I used to swear like pretty much every other sentence would be a swear word in it. And a lot of people in my stream don't know that because I didn't stream at the time. But like it was pretty early on when I was in my Left 4 Dead 2 career, quote unquote. I was pretty toxic. I used to swear a lot. And, eventually I just kind of hit a point where, like, what if I just didn't swear as much as I do? And it kind of, I don't know, it was pretty much just like a personal choice of, like, I'm going to try and swear less because I don't want to risk it coming out in a bad situation. And if I just kind of can erase that from my vocabulary more or less, like, to an extent, ahead of time, it'll just naturally not come up. Mm-hmm. So I won't get myself in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Plus, use other words. Expand your vocabulary.
Like fudging.
Fudging, or, don't limit yourself to that.
There was a period where I was trying to say, do you know a Tourette's guy or no?
No.
That was a thing on the internet where basically he was he's someone who had Tourette's syndrome, and they made videos out of it, and he would swear a lot. And one of his like things, something would go wrong, and he'd say, Bob Saget, but like yell it. I was trying to get myself to say Bob Saget for a little bit, but it was too much of a jump from like the F word to fudging, for example. Like that was an easy correction,
Yeah.
But saying like Bob Saget was a lot harder to do.
I like that. I think Bob Saget is a much better curse word.
I think it's a pretty funny concept to say Bob Saget.
We should all work on that.
I just gave up on it eventually because in the moment you never think to say Bob Saget.
Or just say any celebrity. Campbell Scott.
I will. Don't use Scott's name in vain. What is your history in music? A lot of people don't know this about you, Tyler, but why don't you tell your history in music?
Oh, like like performing music.
Yeah.
I was in a punk rock band in high school called Creepy Peter. I also was in 5th and 6th grade. I was in band. Played the alto saxophone.
Did you really?
Yep.
Do you still know how to play it at all, or not really?
Nope.
Like, if you picked it up, could you feel something out?
Yes.
Or not really?
I think I could play Three Blind Mice. I could play something really easy.
So, like, everybody on piano. You know how everybody on piano knows, like, one easy song?
Probably.
That's like you on the alto saxophone?
Yeah. Like, I could do something.
Okay.
I could make notes.
Sure.
I could play, like, 20 seconds of something and be like, oh,
I didn't even know that. That was news to me.
Yep. I liked it. I wish I would have stuck with it. Not the saxophone, but I wish I would have learned piano or guitar.
There you go. Yeah, I was always kind of that way too, where I kind of wish I learned an instrument more than I did. I can play like very, very basic guitar. Like I can play the basic chords and then like basic, drums. But I was always more, as much as I love music, as you know, I am very interested when people are good at their instruments, and that's interesting to me. I was always more drawn to the vocal side of it, though. But so that's kind of, and it's just much easier to practice. You can just practice in your car while you're driving, as opposed to guitar. You actually have to sit down and play it. Like that's really my only place I ever practiced vocals is in my car over the last 8 years. I guess I've been driving since my 16th birthday. Because it was just convenient, and I was always interested in it.
I was the lead singer of Creepy Peter,
Yeah,
and I never practiced my vocals.
How did you?
We practiced. We had band practice, but like I was never working on my vocals.
How often did you guys have band practice?
When we were really trying to play and really trying to work hard, we would practice like 3 or 4 days a week.
Really? That's a lot.
Yeah, because I would get done with either football or wrestling practice, and then I would head home at like 6:30, and we would practice until I went to bed.
Where did you guys play?
Like 9:30 or 10. We had like 3 or 4 garages, and we would just rotate. Basically,
Really?
everybody who was in the band, we would be like at their garage for a little while, and then their parents would get sick of it, so then we'd go to another
That's what I'm
garage.
saying. Like, how would the parents deal with 3 to 4 times a week? Because I mean, practice isn't quiet, especially when you have a band like that. Like,
Yep.
You know, with drums and
We
guitar and stuff.
rotated so that by the time they got sick of it, we were out.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, my history in music, I've never played like an actual show. You've played like actual shows.
Yeah, we did.
Which is cool and something that I plan on doing. But I mean, I started making music with a couple buddies when I was in high school. I think junior or senior year. It's god awful music. And then I just casually like with them, I made music for a couple years, and then the last year and a half or so, I think like year and a half or so. Yeah, that sounds about right. I was trying to think. I was at Jump Pact when he moved to LA. So yeah. So then our drummer moved to LA for a minute, and then eventually came back, but he wasn't planning on coming back initially. So me and the other guy, there's 3 of us. So me and the other guy started our own thing, kind of made music with just us 2. And then now I'm in another band, like an actual band. So hopefully playing a show will be up and coming. But yeah, that's my history of music. So I talk about music quite a bit on the stream, and people do know I play music, but I am a vocalist in a band now. So we'll see what comes with that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Excited for it, honestly. It's been really
give
fun.
You any pointers?
We only practice
if you
once
need
a
any
week.
Pointers,
dude.
kid.
I won't go to you.
If you need any pointers, kid.
Do you know anything about vocal technique
man.
at all, or not really?
Nope. I know nothing about it. They gave me the words. I would help write the songs a little bit.
Did you help write the last song?
What one?
The one I hate.
Yeah. It was totally different. Well, no, it wasn't. The idea was there, but I turned it into like I didn't write the lyrics, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking.
So the song he's referencing is not an appropriate song.
It's not an appropriate song.
It offends him. But
it doesn't
anyway,
offend me. I just think it's complete
hey
trash.
man, art's
It's
supposed to be
complete
offensive.
trash.
Art is offensive.
I'm gonna
man.
say the words to the chorus. I'm just gonna say them. Okay.
No. You don't have to.
I want to.
No,
I want
that's
people to
all right.
know how bad this song was.
No.
I
You
mean,
don't.
by today's not pop punk, hip hop, like mainstream lyrics, it's really not even that bad.
No, you just don't have to say
You
it,
sure?
though. Yeah.
Can I say it?
No, it was about, the song was called Let's Hear It for the Whore. So that's all we need to say.
It's very degrading to somebody and also very explicit in
A little bit.
unneeded ways,
But again, so I didn't
obnoxious ways.
I didn't write the lyrics, but what I did do was like sing it and be like, and put it so that it made sense as a song instead of just
You placed the lyrics.
words. Yeah.
Did you write the melody for it or no?
I did. No. What are you talking about?
Did you write like the
No, I know nothing about music.
na 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 na? Did you write like
I
the,
sang it that
the
way.
notes? Did you write the? Did you say I'm gonna sing it this way, or did they say hey sing it this way?
Nope. I said, what if I sing? What if this is this part? And I said, I'm gonna sing it this way. And I went.
Say the words with it. It'll be like a throwback. Say the words.
No.
You still have those songs, right?
Somewhere.
I've heard them. I know you have them.
I don't know where they're at.
They're on like your little iPod or something.
Yep.
Can I
Maybe.
get them?
Nope.
We'll talk about that later.
It was called Potty Demos.
Potty demos. The last album that me and my buddy worked on was I'm Five and What Is This?
Oh, that's
Because
perfect. That was a quote.
that's the name of the album. Yeah, it's like a meme on the internet.
Oh, I thought that was something
I'm
we
five
came
and what
across.
is this? What?
Didn't we come across something?
I'm
that
five
said
and
that?
what is this? We
Yeah.
probably may have seen something with it, but we didn't make that up.
Oh, it was She's Five.
Yeah, that was a different story that
Yeah.
we don't need to go into. That'll be a whole
I
different.
still have that on my cube.
Wait, what about on the cube?
Yeah, you wrote down all those quotes, and I have them stick to all
Can
over
you
my
send me
cube.
that? I don't remember. I know what paper you're talking about. I don't remember the quotes. You'll have to
I'll have to find
send me them.
Yeah.
Anyway, so another
Against
question
company
here.
policy.
Let's move on. I mean, just type them on your phone.
Can't do it. It's against company policy.
Just type them on your phone and text them to me. What college did you go to, and was it fun over there?
Oh, I went to Eastern Michigan for 2.5 years. It wasn't. I didn't think it was.
You didn't think it was
I was
fun?
very disappointed.
Did you commute or did you live there?
I commuted, so I'll be the
Well, I mean,
first
that's
one. Right.
you didn't really experience college that much then.
Exactly.
That's
I'll
my
be the
opinion, at
first
least.
one to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very disappointed with college in general. I wanted it to be like Goodwill Hunting, where like a professor was gonna take me under his wing and like
Oh my gosh,
we'd hang out in his office.
you're like, what's wrong with American society? Like, I just wanted to be like in the movies. It's not like it is in the movies.
Yeah. No, it was just like high school. It was like more independent high school.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, it's school.
You know, you do the grades, get the good grades. That's
Do
it.
the grades. I went to Madonna University is what it's called. It's not named after the singer. It's a Franciscan university, so it's like a form of Catholicism or whatever. Madonna's another name for Mother Mary, I guess.
I thought that was all girls school, and I'm not making fun of you. I legit.
It was like it's like 3 out of 4 people are girls. It's like a lot of girls because nursing is huge there, and nursing is like the big major there. So it's a lot of girls there. This is why I went there. No,
Yeah,
I was
buddy.
actually the real reason I went there is because I wanted to go to Aquinas. Out of high school, I wanted to go away to school, but I was switching medication for my Crohn's at the time, and they didn't know like how I was going to react to it, and they didn't want to be me to be far away. So I commuted my first year, and then I just stayed another year, and then I transferred to Grand Valley State, which is in Grand Rapids. For my last 2.5 years. It took me an extra semester to graduate because I lost a few credits when I transferred, but I enjoyed it very much there. I think I grew up a lot out there. I changed a lot out there, and I mean that's where I became a Christian and where a lot of my life changed. So
Cool.
yeah. If you could go back and change one major life decision, what would it be and why? If I didn't say, by the way, these last 3 questions are from the audience, so to speak. So we're off of my questions now, by the way.
That's a good question. If I could change one decision I made, what would it be?
I'm trying to think what it would be as well. I think.
I mean, there's a lot of little decisions,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe
I mean, it's so easy to think of one that like
yeah, I can
spiraled
think of one.
into something. Like if I could go back and never be exposed to porn in my life, like yeah, obviously. But I'm trying to think of something a little bit more. Like you're gonna be exposed to porn at some point. If I could change something else besides that, um,
I would. I mean, there's little things like I wish I would have got a black belt in judo.
you mean at least tested for something besides white belt?
Yeah, because the guy kept telling me, he's like, "Hey, get your belt. Let's belt up, whatever."
And you just said no.
And I kept saying no because I was high school wrestling. And
How old were you during that period?
19, 20, 21, 20,
Okay.
when I was fighting.
Huh.
And
That's not high school period anymore, but okay.
what do you mean? No, like that's was my background, was high school wrestling and
Oh
wrestling.
yeah.
And I just was like, Psh, belts don't mean nothing. In wrestling, we don't give belts. But now I wish I did, just so that I could
Mm-hmm.
have that.
Okay. I would say like part of me, like what first comes to mind besides the porn thing, is my senior year of high school. So I played baseball growing up, was my main sport. I love baseball. I played on the freshman team freshman year, and I was like, I don't want to sound cocky, and I'm probably the least cocky person, this, but I was like a stud freshman year, but I was like tiny. I was really really small. I didn't really start growing until senior year of high school, so I was a tiny twig my freshman year, but I'm pretty athletic, and people were like, yeah, he'll be on varsity in a couple years, and even the coach, literally the freshman coach, like said to me one time, he's like, Coach DePonio, who's the varsity coach, said that you'll be on varsity in a couple years. But sophomore year, I played NJV. I wasn't like as much of a standout. I still was like good. My hitting wasn't very good though because I was tiny. So in high school, you can pinch hit for any player. It doesn't have to be the pitcher, or like designated hit anybody in the lineup. So I played defense, but I didn't hit very much. And then junior year, I got cut. I didn't make varsity, but I was still, like I said, really tiny. And I think that was a big reason, was because I was just small.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't like really upset at the time. But point being, senior year came around, or I guess like even shortly after, people were like, "You're gonna try out next year?" I'm like, "Yeah." Senior year came around, I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna try out," because tryout's not till spring, so the whole year I'm like, "Yeah." And then I didn't even go. I didn't even try out. But that was at the same time that I was getting into Left 4 Dead 2, and I was really enjoying that. And I was just like, my mindset was, I don't want to go to school and then have practice every day and not get home till the evening every day. I'd rather just not. So I just didn't try out. And, who knows if I would have made it or not. I still think I probably wouldn't have, because, I'm a senior. Our team was really good. We had like plenty of kids that played in college. Two of the kids are in the minor leagues for, MLB. I could say I go back and try out, but at the same time, it kind of led me to where I am now with like my stream and everything. So, that's where my mind went. I'm sure there's one that's more a better answer than that, but that's where it went. I'm just curious where it would have turned out.
Yeah. I wish I could have invested in Ford stock when it was really low, when the economy was bad, because then it shot up. I could have made a killing on that. But yeah, if you're happy with your life, if you're generally a happy person.
Yeah, I wouldn't
hard
be
to
where I am now. If
Right.
like in Left 4 Dead 2, I wouldn't have been where I was. I wouldn't have gotten to where I was. Wouldn't have gotten to the peaks, the epitome of Left 4 Dead 2 competitive scene, winning these tournaments. The shirt, I'm wearing my Everything FPS shirt right now.
You should see all the trophies in
You
his
should
room.
see all the
Ugh.
posters up in my room. You guys have seen them before, but that's what I went for. That's my answer. Can Dawkins pick up Tyler now?
No.
Can we try?
No.
Please.
Have you been? You're not any stronger.
I started going to the gym. How dare you say I'm not any stronger?
You're not.
I started going to the gym.
No.
You know this.
It's not going to happen. There's no way.
It's not going to happen if you don't let me try.
No.
You're not even going to let me try?
No.
Okay, let the record show Dawkins can pick up Tyler, but Tyler will not let him try.
No.
100%. That's objectively what happened right there.
There's no proof.
That you won't let me try? It's already been recorded.
Yeah, it's a recording, but even if so, you could try to pick me up and say that you got me up, and then it's my word against yours because there's no document.
You think I'm that much of a liar, dude?
Yes.
Have I not proved my honesty in
No.
our relationship for the last year and a half?
In this regard, I know for a fact that you would lie.
Right now, I was not able to pick you up. I'm not able to currently because the last statistics show I was not able to pick you up.
Correct.
But that's an old test.
Nope. We need a camera.
I was much
On
younger.
the next stream, if you want to try to pick me up on the next stream,
Okay.
then I'll allow it.
All right. We'll do it next stream because I haven't gone to the gym in like a week and a half because I was in Florida and other stuff has been coming up. So I haven't gone in a few weeks anyway. So good. I'll be
So you're
stronger.
weak.
I'll be
You're
stronger
at
by
your
then.
weakest.
Yeah. So if you wanted me to try and pick you up right now, would be the time and do
I
your
even
best bet.
lost
But
5 pounds.
wow, dude, you're just so much thinner.
Exactly. So now's the time for you.
It's fine. You can put those 5 pounds still on. It won't make a difference.
I think when I weigh in for the stream.
All right. Next question. This one's a little bit more into the deeper realm again. So lately, this person says, lately I've been extremely anxious about impossibilities and paradoxes. What do you guys have to say about that?
Like what?
I would say as far as impossibilities and paradoxes, I read that he might be thinking like more of like a physical level, like in terms of literal like physics impossibilities. I'm thinking more of like expectation impossibilities. You know what I mean? Like anxious about, oh, I can't live up to this standard, or I can't do this, that I want to do. Like stuff like that is what I would take that as.
Well, I don't know, because then he says paradoxes.
Right. That's what makes me think it's like more physical, literal impossibilities. I don't know. What about like just anxiety in general? Like what do you get anxious about things? Like what do you get anxious about?
Everybody gets anxious.
Well, sure. Like but you wouldn't say you like suffer from anxiety or anything like that. So like what do you get anxious about?
Just, if I'm running late for something or if something needs to get done.
That's different. I'm talking more like
I was anxious when I was worried about when we were all worried about sort of getting fired before.
Okay.
So that was anxious.
Sure.
Because I didn't have a fallback plan and I didn't, but other than that.
You don't have a fallback plan now, but anyway, that's a different discussion.
We're in a different world than we were last year.
Okay.
I think, I don't get anxious, really.
Okay. I get anxious a lot.
As
you know. Anxiety runs in my family. I think I have it better, or I've at least controlled it much better than most people in my family. Like I know my brother, who I live with. Yeah, I haven't experienced this, but my sister used to live with him here, back before she moved to Chicago a couple years ago, and she said that sometimes he would have to get up in the middle of the night and just like walk around, just to like, loosen up. And I've never seen that, but I'm also not up in the middle of the night with my door's closed. So, like I said, I haven't seen that, but I would say, I don't know, dude. I have a lot of like social anxiety. Like meeting new people is terrifying for me. I'm very, very different on the stream and around you than I am like at work.
I know. You should have. At dinner, he was the most awkward person to talk to the waiter I've ever seen.
No. Like stuff like that's fine, but like even at work, like especially when the expectation is like I'm meeting new people that I'm going to be around a lot. I'm very like I don't like the word shy, but because it's not like when I think of shy, I think of someone who like won't even talk that much if you talk to them. But if you talk to me, I'll talk back. But like I won't. I'm very bad in group settings, especially when I'm not friends with everybody in the group setting. So like my group setting at work, I basically never speak because I don't know when I should speak up, nor do I like I just never really learned that social interaction very well. And because of that, I get kind of I get anxious during that. Like, am I talking enough? Like, you have those thoughts within yourself whenever you're talking to people you're not, super familiar with. And you're, like, judging yourself more than they're judging you. You know what I mean? And so, like, I have a rep at work to be super quiet and super just, like, put your head down and work, which is what I do. Because I'd rather, like, I get along with the people sitting next to me. Kind of similar to how me and you got along. At Genpact, I was a little more open though than here I am here because there were more people like my age and stuff. But I don't know. When you sat next to me at work, I know we talked a little bit, but did I ever seem like
No.
not cold, but like did I ever seem like I just was bothered by people?
Nope.
Really?
Only
Okay.
the annoying ones, like the people that bothered me,
Sure.
that I could just be like that I could relate to. But no,
Okay. See, I feel like go
I
ahead.
think everybody gets a little anxious when you're meeting new people, but yeah, I don't think that it's not something that lasts very long with me.
Okay. See, for me, even like at school, for example, this would come up a lot where I would go, get food at like, one of the caps or whatever. I don't know if they're even called caps, but like one of the places to get food. They're like hardly a restaurant. And one of them was like a buffet type thing, and there was like stuff on each side of the floor or whatever. So people were walking back and forth a lot. And, just like bumping into someone and being like, oh, my bad, or like, oh, sorry, just like that's it. And then you walk by. Even like that, I would like judge myself and be like, how did I react to that? Did I react correctly? Like, I'm not even joking.
Wow.
Like, I literally would like, this would go through my head for like the rest of the meal. And just like super, super not hypocritical, super judgmental of myself, super, super like, I don't know, man. I look down on myself a lot. I think that's a big problem a lot of people have is
Yeah,
they just think
I
too
agree.
lowly of themselves. And like anxiety definitely plays a big role in that when you think that you're constantly not performing, quote unquote, the way that you should be or up to standards of normal society.
Right.
Um,
Well, you know me. I mean, my stance is that what's normal society? What's just because I'm supposed to wear a suit or not wear flip flops in the winter doesn't mean that I'm gonna not wear flip flops in the winter.
You need to turn the mic towards you. It's like facing over there. I'm saying this clip part. Just like turn it. That works too. It keeps like facing not towards you.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
But yeah, I'll do what I want because it's comfortable. Or, I mean, yeah, you still have to deal with some norms, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, what is it? I just don't care.
And that's the
part of
thing
it.
too is like I don't really care about a lot of social norms. Like deeply, I don't care, but I still let the anxiety like run its course with me. You know what I mean? Like even though I don't care about social norms, and I disagree on a lot of social norms, as you know, and I don't understand a lot of culture and I think a lot of culture is stupid and stuff, but I'll still hold myself up to the standards of culture and society and all that crap, even though I don't believe in a lot of it or agree with a lot of it. I still hold myself up to that because I think that's just I want to say it's like human nature, like
It
you
is.
have you're like it's human nature to be self-aware, and sometimes that self-aware is too amplified. Like people care too much, and myself included, like care too much about like I'm too self-aware of myself to the point where like I'm paying attention to stuff no one else is paying attention to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's I think where a lot of anxiety comes from. Is just
That, and I think you said it pretty clear earlier that a lot of people don't have confidence in themselves.
mm-hmm.
Not saying that you should be cocky or you should have a huge ego and think,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
nobody likes that person. But if people had a little bit more confidence in themselves, I think a lot of the world's problems would fix themselves. Because I think a lot of anxiety, a lot of negativity is people who don't believe in themselves or have low confidence or something along those lines trying to make up for that. So either they're trying to tear down somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
tear down or whatever it is. It doesn't even matter. You could be the Yankees. You're like, "Oh, I hate the Yankees." And and it could be because you have when it gets to be a problem, but I do. I think a lot of people need a little bit more confidence in themselves.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree.
Which is funny because I bet
Mm-hmm.
people say that Americans in the world rate highest in self confidence without the ability to back it up. But I think in the things that are important, we lack confidence. The things that affect day-to-day life. Like if you think you're better at math than you really are, that's okay. That's harmless.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think that deep down you're a bad person, then that's a real problem, because that affects you every single day. It affects you at all hours of the day, whereas just having a little bit of overconfidence in your math or reading abilities, that doesn't hurt anybody. If you lack the confidence in yourself as a human being, that's where problems happen.
Yeah, and I think that's a fine line to walk.
It
because, I mean, as, I think there's a lot of value to be gained in being, like, appreciative for things. And I think if you have too much confidence, you lose appreciation for things. And, like, part of, like, I feel like I try and look at everything as logically and objectively as possible. And I think there's a lot of value in that. And sometimes, like, most of the time I'm feeling like depressed or anxious, it's because I'm not thinking of it logically or objectively.
Mm-hmm.
But if I think about it logically and objectively, like, it gives you a better sense of where you stand. Like, I don't think that I'm that great of a streamer. Like, I don't think I'm terrible. I think I'm better than some people, but I'm definitely not as good as some other people. And that makes me appreciate the people that come to my stream, as much as they do, and that are around consistently and stuff like that. But it also, like, I don't know. It's a mindset of, like, if you have the opinion of, like, I deserve no viewers,
right?
Then I don't know if that's good or bad. Like, then I get down if I have no viewers, but then you tell yourself you don't deserve any viewers, then that's, pushing yourself down further. I don't know. Right. It's a slippery line.
It's right in the middle. You can't say I don't deserve any viewers, but at the same time you can't be like, I'm here, why don't I have all the viewers?
Yeah, no, I would never say.
No, I agree with you. I'm not saying that that's what you would say, but that's what we need. Is you need the middle ground. And honestly, I've had this discussion with you. I think fighting, not fighting in a bar, not fighting in a street, but doing it, training in either wrestling, doing judo, doing some sort of combat, fencing. I don't care what it is. Something where it's you versus another person, but you have to train for it beforehand, and then you compete. You actually compete in it. Teaches you a lot of things, because you're going to be humbled, number one. And I think that that's very important in life, to understand that there's better people than you. There are. But that's not a bad thing. And you can work hard to get better. And I think that that's what, I mean, it probably goes for all of sports, but that's, I think particularly fighting, wrestling, combat.
I was going to say, like, why is that any different than any one-on-one sport? Like, is that applicable to any one-on-one sport where you compete directly with somebody if it's not fighting, or
right,
like tennis?
Yeah, I'm sure that there's a lot of lessons.
Where you train a lot in tennis and you play someone one-on-one. Is that less valuable than if they were to box?
No, I probably not is my answer, because I don't have experience doing that with tennis.
Mm-hmm.
I have experience with what I have experience with, but I'm sure that you'll get a similar thing. I think team sports, even though they're good and you can work as a team and you're going to learn a lot of good lessons, I think you need to supplement that by doing an individual sport, something that you have to rely on yourself with.
What about something like baseball, where it's a team sport and defense is pretty team-based, but there's, like, hitting as a one-on-one?
Yeah.
Is that... Did I miss out on life because I didn't play? That's the most one-on-one thing I played. I played hockey and baseball growing up, and both those are team sports.
Anytime you can't place responsibility on someone else, and you have to
say that was me, I struck out.
And why did I strike out? Was it because I didn't train? Was it because of a lack of effort? What was the reason? Anytime you have to do that, take responsibility for yourself, I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
It teaches you a lot.
Okay. Quick note. I don't want anyone listening to this think that that's why I don't like 1v1 in Left 4 Dead 2. Because 1v1 in Left 4 Dead 2 is a complete joke. and it doesn't fudging show you that you're good at the game. I think Left 4 Dead 2 is a team-based game, and to completely warp the game into a one-on-one environment is stupid and pointless.
But let's answer the
And-
impossibilities and paradoxes thing.
I don't even know where to start with that.
Well, I mean,
I would need something more specific.
that person is having a lot of anxieties about it.
Okay, so you can start, and I'll piggyback off you.
And what I would say is that don't have an anxiety about things you can't control.
Mm-hmm. That's easier said than done.
100% easier said than done. But when it specifically pertains to impossibilities and paradoxes, so let's say the existence of other dimensions, or, you know, is a comet coming to hit us, or is there, you know, what is space and time? You know, is the universe really expanding, or is it whatever? What does it matter? There's no practical use for that in your life to
Mhm.
worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you before, but I used to be really scared about dying because, you know, not being a religious person, thinking, what does that mean not to exist?
Mm-hmm.
To have just the lights shut off, there's nothing beyond this.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't exist anymore. It used to really bother me.
Right.
Then you just realize, you sort of learn that, well, it is what it is. There's no stopping that.
Uh-huh.
So why worry about it? There's no practical use for it other than anxiety.
Uh-huh.
You know, the only thing it's going to do is make me have a bad day. So why worry about that? It either is or it isn't.
Uh-huh.
Something that I would say too is, you know, if whether or not, so what Kant used to say, Immanuel Kant, I think it was Immanuel Kant, you know, I think, therefore I am. So the only thing that you can be sure of is that you exist. You can't be sure that anything else exists. You could be a flesh robot, as far as I know. I could be a brain in a jar. Sort of like the Matrix, right? The point is, why worry? Why think about if you're in the Matrix? Because in real life, well, even if this is a fake life, there's no practical application of that. You can't wake yourself up. Try waking yourself up. But if you can't do it, you still live in this world with these rules. So that's the world you live in. That's what you have to deal with. So don't worry about it. Don't have an anxiety about it.
Okay. I don't know if I have much to add to that. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting from a Christian's perspective, hearing that from, like, hearing you say that as an atheist, like, not worrying about dying, because, like, that's a huge push of Christianity, is like, well, when you die, this happens. And that was never really, like, even before I would have called myself Christian, it wasn't really something I thought about. I mean, I became a Christian, like I said, like my third year of college. But it wasn't really something I ever really thought about that much. It wasn't something that bothered me too much. Like, I don't know, you don't think about death that much when you're young. Like, once in a while, but, like, you
Unless
really don't
you're
start
me.
thinking about it unless you're Tyler and you have nothing else to do with your time.
Apparently.
You're scared that you're gonna die in your next MMA fight.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. I never let it bother me, really. That's not really the source of where my anxieties have come from, but I totally understand how it could bother somebody, and especially, like, somebody who's not Christian, who, you know, doesn't believe that they'll, you know, have an afterlife or whatever. I totally understand how it could be concerning. And I don't know. I think that's such an interesting discussion of, like, we've had the discussion. Like, the reason I'm Christian is, like, something happened to me
Mhm.
that I can't deny it. It literally happened to me. So the discussion, and this is kind of off topic, I guess, of this necessarily, but it could maybe segue into the next topic. But something happened to me that I can't ignore or deny.
Yeah.
If that is true for me,
Mm-hmm.
if this exists, and you're not calling me a liar for what I am saying, how is it not universally true?
It's a good point.
That to me is, like, super interesting.
Yeah. I don't think, I think everybody has different experiences. They experience certain things differently. I think some people would interpret certain things one way, others would interpret it another way.
That's just interesting.
That's the nicest way
That's
I could put it.
Without calling me a liar.
I would never call it. First of all, I don't think that you would lie about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I honestly don't.
Okay.
I think that that's good that you experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good that people have experienced similar things. I just haven't. I haven't seen the proof. There's other than, like it, so, and I don't. I just won't even do it. Well, like, I don't want to compare it to this because I know it's very important, but I would compare it to, like, if somebody saw a ghost or if somebody saw the UFOs or Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot. And I'm not trying to trivialize that, but they've experienced something.
Mm-hmm.
How they interpret that experience, everybody's going to be different.
Sure.
That's all. Until I see the proof, I can't say that I 100% believe it.
Yeah, I think comparing it to someone seeing a ghost might be a fair argument, but I think comparing it to UFOs is not accurate because UFO could have been just like a plane or something else. Like that objectively could be something else. But like if you literally saw a ghost, then yeah, I could be open to interpreting that differently. But from what I saw, when I literally have seen, like I've said, I've told my conversion story on stream before, and we'll do that in another podcast 'cause it's kind of a long story. But if I've literally seen the face of Jesus before, how else do you interpret that other than that's real?
Yeah. Yep. I don't know.
All right.
Like I said, I didn't experience that same thing, so I have no clue. I have no clue what happened. I know.
Well, you have an idea. You have you know the story. You have a clue of what happened, but
yeah, but that doesn't mean. And plus, people no, I just won't. Like, yeah, I think that you've experienced something that helped you. So, why would anybody try to tear that apart? They shouldn't, even if they don't believe it.
Okay. I last note is I really think that, like, going off of that, I think part of what led me to have that experience is just open to the possibility of it. I think that so many people, like, I don't know how to word it correctly, and I don't want this to get super, like, preachy, but I think so many people just write off God or write off the existence of God. So even like seeing what I saw, they would just be like, whatever. You know what I mean? I think you have to be somewhat, I think if you are, let me reword that. I think if you are open to the possibility of God, I think the evidence will show itself in your life at some point.
Right.
Whether that's literally seeing something like me, or if that's just like experiencing something. Like everyone's story is different. Every Christian I've ever met has a different story. Like no two stories are the same. Or, everyone's reason for believing is different. I think if you are open to it, I think that it's obvious, is what I think.
Yeah. Yep. And I would argue that if you're looking for that, then yeah, it would be obvious.
Sure. Yeah,
then
and that's easy to say. Like, obviously,
very.
I'm just saying.
Interpret certain things.
Let me put it this way: if going off of what we were talking about earlier with like Native Americans and stuff. Okay. You could say any topic. You could be open to it. And that doesn't necessarily mean like
you are.
Let's say global warming, for example. That's an easier example. I don't know much about it. I don't know like statistics. I don't know proof. I don't know whatnot. I've never really researched it. But I'm like relatively open to having proof. That doesn't mean that the first sign of proof I'm going to see, I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, that's it. You should still be highly questionable and like questioning things consistently. But what I think is, as long as you're not saying, oh, there's no global warming, that doesn't exist, blah, 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 and like, plugging your ears at every sign of evidence, that's what I'm saying you shouldn't do.
Right.
That's what I'm saying you should do just for, Christianity, just with any topic. I think you should be open to it.
I think the difference, though, is that with Christianity or with religion in general, when you hear these conversion stories and there's like these little bits of evidence, it's always something that is almost like, oh, in retrospect, this makes sense. Whereas when you're dealing with,
I don't know. Mine made sense to me immediately.
well, yeah, I think if somebody saw something or,
Well, I mean, it was a saw and hearing.
yeah,
And I knew exactly. It was kind of a vague sentence that he said to me, 2 sentences, and I knew immediately what he was talking about.
so yeah, I think in that case, it would be hard to deny that. But at the same time, like, oh, I saw this person give somebody money and I knew then. Well,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
I'm looking for hard evidence.
I mean, we'll kind of drop it here, but you could get into the whole well, existence is hard evidence. You could get into that argument, but I don't want to go there.
Well, because we're just not going to agree on it.
That's just going to take forever, and
Well,
we're
not
never
gonna
going to
agree on
finish.
it.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll save that for another time as I pat Tyler on the thigh. All right, this will be the last one because we're approaching an hour here. Doesn't feel like it, right? Say it hasn't felt like an hour.
It feels like 6 hours. I'm kidding. Totally kidding.
And this one kind of goes off of what we were just talking about. So that's why I was saying we could piggyback into it. So if your question wasn't read, there's still a lot on here. Looks like about 8 or 9.
What time is it?
It's 8:30.
All right.
So if your question wasn't read tonight, we'll get to it in another podcast. It's not ignored.
Let's do one more since we already talked about.
Well, I'm saying this is going to be the next. Oh, but this one was written like for you, like with you in mind.
Well, we'll do one more after this one.
All right. So this question says religion progression. Do you ever stop following the religion you were brought up with, or do you just adapt it to your current life situation, or can you simply stop believing? So me, I'll go through mine first. So I was raised Catholic. My family's very Catholic. Raised in Catholic Mass. I went to Catholic schools growing up, so Mass several times a week. I knew the ins and outs of Catholicism. I knew all of the rules. I knew the sacraments. I knew all this stuff. What I would have called myself Catholic my entire childhood. The thing that bugs me a lot about Catholicism, and this isn't true for every Catholic, but this was true in the way Catholic teaches itself, like the way Catholicism is taught, is I knew all of the rules, and I never knew until I graduated high school, and I went to Catholic schools, K through high school, kindergarten through high school. I never knew why Jesus died on the cross. I knew all of the rules to follow and were like how to follow them, and I never knew the core reason we're even following them. And that's a big problem I have with Catholicism. And I know there's plenty of Catholics that are like amazing people and super faithful and everything, but the whole thing, like I have more reasons than just that for not being Catholic. Okay, but that was a big problem I had growing up, and that was part of the reason I walked away. I have literally I've talked to my parents about why I'm not Catholic, and I literally wrote out like a bullet list so I wouldn't forget points and like with references to the Bible in there of reasons that I don't believe Catholicism to be correct. But my religion, you could say, progressed from Catholicism to more non-denominational Christianity, because I think a lot of Catholicism loses sight of the core message and the core belief of Christianity in the first place. And I think that was going back to that focus, or I guess learning that focus for the first time in the first place, was very big for me.
Yeah, so I was, I guess, raised Catholic, even though not very strict at all. But, and then I'm where I'm at now, where I'm more or less an atheist, but at the same time, wouldn't surprise. Like I said, the evidence isn't there for me to be like, yes, I believe I'm a Catholic, or I'm a Buddhist, or I'm a whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's honestly like, if I died and then all of a sudden I'm at the pearly gates and the guy's like, oh, well, picked wrong, bud. I'd be like, darn, that sucks. Like that's an eternity of this, that, but I wouldn't be that surprised, because the world's weird in the first place. But yeah, that being said, I definitely don't think that that's the case. I think, once the lights are off, they're off. But I don't know. And then as far as like changing your religion, I don't know, that it's always tricky.
I think a lot of people do that almost inadvertently,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people would be like call themselves Christians or being raised Christian, and then still do things just because they want to, like have sex before marriage, like stuff like that,
Yeah.
where it's like generally like that's fine in society, but from a Christian perspective, that's not.
Right.
But they would still like identify as Christian, but they kind of like make their own rules. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And like, I'm not necessarily speaking down on anybody that's doing that. I know people that do that. And that's, I mean, their choice to do it. I'm not sitting here like standing outside the door, tapping my foot, waiting for them to finish, and be like, "How dare you?" You know what I mean? Like, I'm not condemning anybody out here because I'm, just as I've done my fair share of things wrong. But I think plenty of people write off like differences between, or I guess come up with their own differences between their religion as they go on. And I think that is good and bad. I don't think you should have, I think if you're going to follow a religion, you need to fully question. I think people don't go through the proper questioning process of doing that. I think a lot of people just kind of write it off easily, as opposed to having kind of this internal debate or internal, like really thinking it through as to why you believe what you believe. And I think that's huge for religious people in general, is you have to know why you believe what you believe. And I think like being raised Catholic and learning things about like Judaism, and I took a class on Islam in college and stuff, like it was really informative and I really enjoyed it. And I don't think like if you're a Christian you should be scared of learning other like you need to know why you believe what you believe and what you believe.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of good in learning other perspectives in that. And I think a lot of people either are too afraid to have conversations where they'll question their, standpoint on religion or their faith. I think way too many people are scared of that. It's kind of has sometimes has kind of a, I don't know if taboo is the right word, but it has kind of like a ooh,
Yeah.
stay off that topic. Kind of association in culture, and I think that's a shame. I think that that should be a topic people aren't uncomfortable to talk about. And
Right.
I think a lot of people, though, my point was that there's plenty of people that identify as Christians that don't really follow Christianity.
Yeah.
And who am I to judge them is kind of my opinion on that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not out here condemning all of them. I'm just saying, like, really like go through the thought process yourself.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all I would say.
Generally speaking, I'm very inclusive. Like, I don't care. As long as it doesn't hurt anybody or bother anyone or bother me or whatever. Do whatever you're going to do. If you're going to be a witch, be a witch. If you're going to be a witch who believes in Jesus, be a witch who believes in Jesus. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But what does bother me is when people do try to judge you and they use their religion as a means to do that when they're
Mhm.
doing things that are in complete opposition of it. That's the type of thing that bothers me. So,
Mhm. I hear you.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, I wish those people would just be like, okay, you're right. I'm really not that religious. I just like to hate gay people. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's certain aspects of things, and that's not, whatever. But
Uh-huh.
there's just certain things that people pick and choose that I think, like you said, I think when you actually look at what Jesus said and because I've told you this before, that I actually like Jesus. I really do. I'm a big fan.
Mhm.
The issue,
But
right?
you don't think he's real,
Exactly.
or that he was real.
Exactly. That's part of the issue there. But like the things that he says and some of those lessons, everybody would stand to learn better,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I get bothered when people don't are wishy washy on what they say they believe.
Okay, we'll do. You said you want to do one more. We'll do a quicker one because some of these next ones are kind of long. But let's do this one. At your current age, would you give your life if it could magically end world hunger and make world peace?
You're selfish if you say no.
I agree. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Next. Okay. You don't have anything else to add about that? I don't know if they're. Yeah, I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I think you're debatably a person I don't want to talk to or hang out with. Like, not ever talk to, but you're debatably not someone I would want to become friends with if you say no to that.
I won't go that far, but okay.
But you'll go as far as to say you're a scumbag if you swear.
I didn't say
Swear in
that.
front of children or whatever.
I never said that.
You said you have a low opinion of them or whatever you said.
Every case is you can't say that. You can't generalize anything. Everybody's different.
Okay. All right. And I won't say that because maybe there are people that...
There's juggalos. I used to not like juggalos. And then I met some juggalos. And I actually got to talk to juggalos. And I can't say that all juggalos are jerks.
Is juggalo like... define juggalo again for me. I want to make sure.
People. ICP fans.
Oh, right. Okay. I was thinking of the wrong thing.
Yeah. Well, isn't Jen used to be a juggalo, he said, or is?
I think he said he used to be one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
and
not
he's
judging
great.
I'm not judging them.
You can't, right. You can't generalize anybody.
All right, this one will be more, it could be...
Except for maybe Nazis.
This one's not a yes or no question. If a genie gave you one wish, what would you wish for? Note, your wish can literally change anything.
Oh, wow.
I would magically end world hunger and make world peace.
See, I don't know if world hunger... What?
I just piggybacked off the last question. I said I would magically end world hunger and make world peace.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do.
I never really thought about that because it's not something I think is worth thinking about that much.
Like if my wish in reality would be to whatever the one religion, like whatever is real, whatever, if there is no God, if it's Islam, if it's Christianity, if it's Buddhism, whatever the true fabric that holds reality together is, I would want that to be exposed. But then I think about that. And if it came out that Islam was the one true religion, there's a lot of Christians that they just wouldn't believe it. And that would like ruin a lot of people's lives, I think. So I don't think that would be. I would wish that Santa Claus was real.
I was going to say, if you wished that everyone just knew the truth, like true religion or whatever, I would think that if it ended up to be, like, let's say hypothetically that it was no God, I think that'd be a scary world to live in. Because I think, like, if that's the case, then yes, there are no objective moral truths or no objective morals, like, grounds to like, argue. Like, you can't say, like, you should love each other. Yeah, why? There's no reason.
In the best interest of society.
I mean, you could argue that, but then there'd be plenty of other people that would argue that it wouldn't be.
Yeah, no.
I don't know, dude. I think that'd be a scary world to live in.
Yeah, I agree with you, but not for that reason.
I think it'd be kind of chaos.
It would be chaos. 100% it would be chaos.
Then what are we disagreeing about?
We're disagreeing about why it would be chaotic.
What is...
So if you found out everything you've ever believed in, you've invested your life in, is not true.
Yeah.
Where does that put you?
Honestly, for me personally, like, not that different. Like, I would still stream. I would still make music. I would still live my life. Necessarily, like, I'm not sure what exactly.
And you think
you're
you're
asking.
the only person who, like, I'm talking about the moral argument now.
Oh,
you think you're the only person who wouldn't just be like,
well, I don't know.
I think that you would have a lot of people.
I came from a perspective. I wasn't coming from a perspective of like, snap. Oh, it's right. I was coming from a perspective of like, everyone like when you travel back in time in movies and then you go back to the future and it's way different. That's kind of what I was going for. It's like, where would we have been now if that were the case? That's kind of what I was thinking.
No, I'm thinking tomorrow a newspaper article comes out. Definitive proof. Jesus is true. Everything in the Bible is real.
Well, then it'd be great.
It'd be great, right? For some people, but there's a whole.
For some people,
the largest religion in the world is Islam, I think, and what happens to those people when the whole fabric of. For an atheist, I think it's simple. You just go, oh, I was wrong.
Well, it depends on what
I'm a Christian.
It depends on. I agree that some people are like so dead set in their ways that they can never change. However, like not never change, but like if that came, so you said something, they would never believe you. I'm thinking, what if it's like just some article or whatever? Yeah, I'm thinking if something snapped in everyone's mind where they literally just like Oh, that
Well,
is
then there's no
correct.
problems.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like radical Islam's just gone then, because then it just snapped in their brain. They're like,
Radical
oh,
anything's gone.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, if that were the case, then we have a different story.
Right, exactly. Well, atheism too. So if it snapped in everybody's brain that there is no God, then we're just all in agreement. Then there's nothing to fight over, except for probably skin color. We could probably
There's
still get
plenty
in
to
fights
still fight over.
that.
There's plenty to still fight over. Are you kidding me? Food, land,
No,
people. Like, there's plenty to still fight over if there's no God
that's true.
in that argument.
You're right.
You wouldn't have like ISIS.
I don't think much.
You wouldn't have like ISIS anymore, but you'd still have like country to country wars. There was one about like God. Like
True.
World War II wasn't. Well, no, I won't say that because I mean, yeah, let's just not go there.
World War II?
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't think you're going to have a controversial opinion on World War II.
would the Nazi? I'm just saying, like, would the God was kind of like morphed into their Nazi stance
A little bit.
So that's why
in
I
a
said
weird
that.
way, yeah.
Yeah, like because they thought that was the perfect human
Right.
race. So anyway, is that good to end on? You gonna end there?
I think so.
It's really late. I didn't want us to go this late. But that's gonna be it. Shoot, I'm gonna be so late. Okay. That's episode 1 of TBT2G.
Cool.
Thanks for joining me, Tyler, again.
Perfect. My pleasure.
Yeah. And like I said, if your question wasn't answered, it'll be answered in a future podcast.
Also, fudge you. We're never answering your questions.
If
I'm
you
kidding.
Want to submit another question, you're welcome to submit as many as you want. I think we still have like 6 left over. So if you want to submit more, it's right on the top of my Twitter is where the link can be found, or just ask me or something. I need to think of like a better way. It's on the top of Twitter and it's in Discord, but I don't know where else to like put it necessarily. But anyway, that's gonna be it. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Well, Tyler won't. I'll see you next time with someone else.
You won't see them either.
And we won't see you either. That's a good point. All right. Have a good whatever day it is. And let's check you guys next time. Take it easy.